So I don't know about you, but I have way more books than I have read. This entire bookshelf is dedicated to only those books that I have not yet read. I have another one over there that has the books that I have read, and it doesn't have as many books on there. My problem is not that I don't enjoy reading. I do. It's just the methodology that I've been using to make progress in books, I feel like has been too complicated. I tend to overthink things. And so what I want to do in this video is I want to give you what I am using to simplify my process and what I believe will enable me to triple the amount of books that I read this year. Bienvenidos de nuevo, mis polymathicos, Mr. Crofts with Polymath Plans. Forgive me if I'm speaking a little bit more quietly than usual. I have an Airbnb guest, I believe he's still sleeping. Let's begin with the problem that I was experiencing in trying to set goals for reading and reading more. What I would try to do is, for a given month, for example, using my general goal planning process, I would set a goal for reading a particular section of a particular book and maybe another section of another book. Those would be my 2 reading goals for that month. The problem is, being a polymath, naturally, my interest darts around. And so when I set a goal for reading only 2 sections of only 2 particular books, I get bored very easily, very quickly and easily, and it becomes a chore. And that's not how making progress toward your goals. Of course, it takes hard work. It's not like I get that it's going to take commitment, and it's not always going to be a perfect sunny day and all that. I get it, but it should, for the most part, be an enjoyable experience. Working toward your goals, learning new things, reading books, especially. And so what happens is, when my interest darts around and I don't honor that, what happens is I end up reading less frequently. And I'm also, when I do read, I don't enjoy it as much either, and I'm less engaged. And so I might read it, but my brain isn't lit up like it is when I'm highly interested and I'm reading it because I really, really want to. That's what I want for myself, and that's what I want for you. So I was watching an interview with Brian Tracy recently, who you might be familiar with, and he didn't mention this that I'm about to share with you explicitly. It was kind of an indirect mention of one of the things that he does. But here's the idea. If you want to read more books more often, the formula is you spend more time reading books. I know that sounds so stupid, so ridiculously obvious that maybe I shouldn't even mention it, but I do, because this simplicity, despite its simplicity, escaped me, or has escaped me for a long time, because because I've been trying to approach books with goals instead of this. What this means is that a daily habit of reading for, say, 30 minutes, an hour a day, is better than goals. You might set goals in complement to your daily reading habit, but the foundation can be much simpler and easier. If you think about it, a daily habit simplifies your decision making. You no longer need to concern yourself with continually reevaluating your reading goals, unless you want to. Of course, you're free to do that. But the foundation is very simply read for 30 minutes or an hour every day. On top of this, as a polymath, I thrive having the freedom to allow my interest to dart back and forth between the multiple hats that I wear, the multiple projects that I have in the works. Because when I do that, my interest is at its maximum. My brain is on fire. I'm lit up with fascination and interest. And so if I'm free to read across different things, but I ground that with a commitment to every day 30 minutes, you have consistent progress. But how do you actually do it? Right? Because it sounds like a great idea. Obviously, if I could just like snap my fingers and make it a daily reading habit, maybe I would have already done that before watching this video. There's two answers to this question of how to make it happen, depending on who you are. And the way that I see it is, you're one of two kinds of people with respect to this question. Either you are confident in your level of self-discipline, or you are not yet so confident, which we've all been there too. What I'd like to do at this point is split off the video and talk to each of these two types of people individually. Okay, so you can use the timestamps below. If you are, I'm going to speak to the not yet so confident person first, and then we're going to go into the if you're reasonably confident. Okay, so for those of you that are not yet so confident in your level of self-discipline, the first thing I'll say is discipline is the golden key. It is the key that unlocks all the other doors of success toward reading or toward anything else. Brian Tracy is my favorite author on this. The way that he puts it is, discipline is the thing that enables all these other techniques and methods towards success work. If you have self-discipline, they all work. If you don't have self-discipline, none of them can help you. Okay, but to take the pressure off a little bit and make it maybe a little easier for you to start making progress in that direction, to being more disciplined, you should understand it's not an either or. I think a lot of content online, you can kind of get the impression that there are disciplined people and there are not disciplined people. But it's not the case that a person is either disciplined or they're not. It's a range. It's a spectrum. It's like a muscle. And like with a muscle, when you exercise it, it grows. It doesn't just suddenly turn on. It can, if you get mad, especially. Anger can be useful in this respect. But beyond that, if you want something more sustainable, give yourself the time and grace to grow into a gradually more and more disciplined person. Now, diving really deeply into this topic of self-discipline is beyond the scope of this video, but I'm going to have a bit of a contest here, do an experiment. If you want to dive deeper into this, I want you to comment down below the word discipline, just the word discipline. And I'm going to tell my other group of more reasonably confident self-discipliners to comment a different word. And based on your guys' responses, I'm planning to tailor the content of my next handful of videos accordingly. Okay, so let's say you're reasonably self-confident. So discipline is not necessarily your problem. What you want, if you're like me, because I do identify as a very highly disciplined person, but with respect to reading, my problem is I'll tell you the solution and then I'll describe the problem. The solution is keep it simple. Relax, keep it simple. Making things complicated does not necessarily make them better. I tend to overthink. And the reason for that is because I want the best way of doing something. That's how I approach everything in my life. I want optimization. And so the thing inside me that makes for overthinking is a good thing. I very much appreciate about myself that I'm a perfectionist. I think it's a good thing. And if you're like that too, I think that's an awesome thing, an awesome way to be. But it can, of course, make us run into problems too. What I'm going to tell you, in thinking about all the different ways that we could more systematically manage our reading, it's true that there's no perfect system. We've been told that, we already know that, but I don't feel like that's very helpful. Instead, what I think is more needful and helpful for you and I to hear is there's more than one way to skin a cat. So basically what that means is this particular method that I'm about to share with you might be exactly what you decide to use. It might be a beginning of something that you design and customize to yourself, or you might do something completely different, and all of those are totally valid. It's up to each of us to settle on a decision that's not perfect, but that suffices for our own goals and our own desires. All right, here it is. This is my habit tracker, my new habit tracker that I've just designed in my new planning system. In my last video, I outlined the switch that I'm making from the Supernote system that I've been using to now just paper. I'm changing from a $400 tool to like a $20 one for the reasons that I outlined in that video. I'm calling this my master goal book. This particular journal I'm replacing with one that I bought online for some of the added features of the one that I bought, but it's still in the mail. So in the meantime, I'm just making do with this. The habit tracker that I'm doing is I'm trying to make it as simple as I can. On the left-hand side of the page, I have the month outlined, all of the days, and the dashed lines across indicate the weekends and the work weeks. That way I have a visual of the weeks and weekends. And then some of the key things that I have that are not daily habits, but other kinds of habits. So like posting a video every Saturday, cooking every Sunday. And then it lines up with the lines over here, same days all the way down through the month. And then each habit that I want to track, I have room, of course, for a ton of them, but I'm just starting simple to try to make a habit of using the habit tracker itself. Cool. If you want to dive deeper into this kind of content, my master goal book, the different systems that I have in place, the different systems that I'm designing, I want you to comment in the comment section below the word structure, just the word structure. I asked my not yet so confident group to comment a different word, and based on your guys' responses, I'm planning to tailor the content of my next handful of videos accordingly. So in summary, if you want to read more books, it's as simple as spending more time reading books, which sounds silly, but it is as simple as that. In order to do this, it is better to establish a daily habit as your foundation for reading books, and then supplement with goals if you wish, but rather than having goals as the foundation and ignoring the daily amount of time spent reading. Don't forget to comment either your word discipline or the word structure in order to have an impact on the direction of the next handful of videos. Otherwise, thanks for sticking around. Hasta la próxima, mis polimáticos. Nos vemos.